Hello, YouTube. Hey, Periscope. Hey, Patricia. Hey, Facebook. Just logging on to Periscope. Hey, Marcus. Long time no see. My condolences, honey. Hey, Daryl. Welcome back. Just signing in to Periscope. Oops. And okay, Woke Wednesdays. Hey, Rhonda. We'll be starting in 1 second. Sorry, I didn't log in to Periscope, and it's the first time on this device. Trying to see how I can make a comment on Facebook. Choose your live mode. Hey. How can I make a comment? Oh my goodness. Make it on another Woke Wednesdays. Help your struggling children in school. Periscope I haven't been on in a while, so I'll just keep it short and brief with them. And boom. Okay, so now we're on Periscope. We are not, hey Tyrone, we are not on, we are not on Instagram this week. So I sent Instagram and LinkedIn people a link to the YouTube live. They can also, of course, come on Facebook if they know I'm on Facebook, and as well as Periscope. Hi, Devin. Okay. Hey, Ted. All right. So for today, I wanted to put in Facebook. Oh, my thing is upstairs. Oh, I am so mad. Okay, my thing is upstairs. Hold on. I'm going to run upstairs. Hey, Anthony, I'm going to run upstairs. I'm going to get my iPad because I'm going to need that so that I can put the link to what I need in there. Hold on. Sorry. Okay. Let's see. We maintain some people. Hey, Tanya. Welcome. Long time no see. All right. So I want to put the link on Facebook. Hold on. All right. So as some of you may know, I put up a post on Facebook really exposing what I've been going through for the past year plus. And I'm extremely, hey Clifton, I'm extremely intuitive, and I have been for a large part of my adult life since I've actually been teaching. And it really, I didn't have anything prior to teaching, right? And that's one of the reasons I know I'm spiritually connected. This is a part of my gift. This is a part of my mission and my purpose in life. And so, those dreams and visions and intuitive feelings and knowledge have really helped me along the years, knowing who's who and what's what at any given period of time within certain institutions. And so I'm going to go into some detail about some visions that I had and how that helped me along, and then how kids end up suffering. Hey, Stephanie, how are you? Welcome. In order to protect our children, because I don't think that parents really understand and the community really understands what's happening within our schools, that impacts. Hey, Rob. Hey, Sam. That impacts our schools and our children, right? And such on a negative trajectory. And I'm going to actually go super deep with it, right? All right, hold on. I'm going to try and put the link to it. Good. No, that's not what I want. I'm sorry. I'm trying to put the link in the comments for the people who haven't seen it. And I'm like reading the comments of the people that commented on it. I'm cracking up. I just got so involved. Hold on. Okay, so how do I get the link to this? Okay, maybe I need to go to, boom, got it. Got it. Oh my God, it is so flipping long. Cut, and now let me go to the live. And then I'll try to do the same for Periscope. Okay, so my live on Facebook is not even showing up on my page. Like, let me go to the app. Oh, there we go. I'm trying to put. Sorry about that. Oh, there we go. Paste. There we go. I'm trying to put. Sorry. You read it, Stephanie? Okay. Okay. So I put it in the link on Facebook. And I'm going to try and put it on the link on Periscope. And I think YouTube, you're on your own. There. Okay. Yo, Stephanie, you read the whole damn thing? It's crazy, right? It's crazy. And so spirituality is it's considered a new age topic, but it's been here before man has been here. And there are so many people who, have gone through a spiritual awakening. And so many people who have left DNA footprints of their spiritual journey. And like, I kept that stuff. I usually skim post that long, but it seemed interesting enough. Hey, Chris. Yeah. So, and I'm a private person. I'm a really private person. I told no one about this individual whatsoever. I went to dinner with a girlfriend a little bit over a year ago, and I gave her just some, and I hadn't experienced all that yet. I just gave her, I never told him his name or anything, just, said this guy seems interesting and told her a little bit, but she wouldn't know him if he came up on a live or post. She wouldn't know. Okay. There's no one that knew. And then when we had an incident in the town that he's living now, I was just so hurt and depressed that, I confided in a friend. And again, I told her no information. So if they were on a live or a post together, they wouldn't know who each other were. Been there, done that when I lived in Hamden. Do tell. Because that needs a sense. Oh, yes. And it's like cultures across the world participate in some level or another. Even if you look at the Christian Bible, it has a lot of information on like the natural, the spiritual arts, but it's not worded in the same way in which other cultures practice it. But the simple fact that they have hyssop, sage, frankincense, myrrh, the use of gold for protection, it's all in the Bible. And so people have been practicing this across the world for eons. And so now, it's considered taboo because they want the theistic religions, hey, Miss Reed, to take hold, and they want institutions in charge of people's spirituality and not people being able to access it themselves, right? And so you have a lot of suppression of great information. So I'm going to get to how this impacts education. So first of all, I didn't introduce myself because I was doing all the technical stuff. But I'm Randa. I'm the lead consultant at Little Pearl Education Group. And tonight on Woke Wednesdays, we're going off on a little tangent, and we're going to actually go deep and spiritual and make a connection to education. I put the link in the description box, and I'll put the link posthumously in the YouTube link on, my experiences with spirituality and education. And so as I was explaining when I started the video that I didn't start having visions until I was teaching, right? And it started off in terms of romantic partners who was not, people who were not good for me, right? I would get warnings. And then it started to trickle into education. So if you ever looked at any of my lives, or if you have been on the YouTube page and looked at any of the videos, I think about education from a totally different lens than most schools and their districts or managing body sees education. I'm not traditional. Hey, Eric. And I'm not traditional because I'm not supposed to be. Traditional education is rooted in the subjugation of people, poor people of all races, and people of color, because those people of color are subjects of the larger society, of the larger governmental body. And the winner of the war, whether it's warring in other countries and bringing those people here as free labor, or if it's a matter of going into specific lands and annexing those lands in some type of way to be a part of the United States, in case Puerto Rico, Alaska, Hawaii, the western region of the United States, which is, basically Mexico. And so then your education system actually has to continue to oppress and suppress those people so that the systematic oppression that you set up economically over decades can maintain its stronghold. So then you're educating them to be subjects of the republic and not innovators, right? Because if certain groups had a negative trajectory in this country, you can trickle a few here and there, but you can't have a complete overhaul, because then what you set up is not going to be valid, right? And so you do this through education, through the curriculum, the language in which you use in history classes, the literary breaks that you name. You're basically marginalizing some groups, and then others you're putting on the front page and you're making them significant. And so that teaches children who and what's important. And most of the time for children of color and children who parents are on the lower economic status, they tend to struggle in school because there's no connection to them with the curriculum, with the skills, right? And so all the things that we talked about last week, applies. There's just like so much. There's no way that you could put all the strategies that they do to subjugate people and keep a particular norm. There's no way that you can put that all in one video. So if you haven't seen the other videos, I would advise you to see the other videos. And so I want to talk about, in terms of spirituality, a few things. And it's really three main things. The first thing is, with every job I had, absolutely love teaching, absolutely love the student body, absolutely love working with parents, absolutely love navigating the challenges, because there are challenges there. And it was never about them. It was really the systemic oppression. So if I am there because it's my calling to use my gift to liberate students and help them and their families, but the system is the exact opposite of that, that's a lot of pressure, right? I'm underneath a lot of pressure just doing what I do, because although they have benefited from my services, there is a portion of people who use politics and make sure that they push back. So my whole career, I've been pushing them against not individuals. They can't take me on individually. I've been getting pushback systemically, right? And so doing all the work that I did and going against, a larger force, I ended up getting a severe case of, hey, Stephanie, wait, I didn't read your other comment. Right. But the thing is that they benefited because there was so much negativity and situations that was publicized about various schools that I worked at. And so my work ended up subduing a lot of that. But because there's naysayers who had political clout, they did their barking. And so the officials had to decide whether or not to go with the barking or to go with the positivity that I was bringing to the table. I'm a woman of color. If I was a white male doing the exact same thing with the exact same population, it would not be a problem, right? So they went with the barking, right? And so I would have to basically work to cover my tracks and everything that was thrown at me. I, of course, had to validate what I did, what I was doing. And so you basically take it on another job because you have to support yourself politically, right? So if someone accused me of something, I would have to defend myself against it. Defend it in writing, defend it in meetings, defend it in with policies and procedures. And so I'm working overtime. And that took a real toll on my mental and emotional health. And I ended up getting a really severe case of depression, anxiety, paranoia. And this is not my background. I've never had any type of mental health of doing this. And so I would have dreams. And so there was this one time where my dream told me to push back against what I was being accused of, right? And it was a whole thing. I had to go through all these loopholes and all these procedures. And my dream told me that I was going to win. Go ahead and challenge the highest office in this school. And it wasn't the principal, it was higher than the principal. And my mentor had told me, go ahead, give them this, let them have this. Take this punishment, which really wasn't a punishment at all. I was paid. I was paid and I had time off. So I was like, it sounded like good advice, but I did not listen to the spiritual message in which a higher power gave. And to this day, I kind of regret it, right? Because now in hindsight, I knew my spiritual gifts were just emerging. I didn't know to like really trust it. And so another time, although you know, I was paid and it really wasn't a punishment. They just wanted to flex. I was paying for that. There's no school system that I worked for that was an elite school system. Hey, Tracy, all systems that I worked for, all schools that I worked at, were working class people, and you have a sprinkling of professionals that have money there, but for the most part, these are working class communities, and these people are living check to check, and so they're paying tax dollars for these school systems to pay a teacher that's not there delivering services because they want to flex their political, yes, taxpayers. They want to flex their political power and might when it's not even necessary, right? I wasn't a direct threat. I'm a person, if I work somewhere, I'm following the policies and procedures. I'm big on that, right? But by virtue of who I serve, and who had the most impact from what I did, those people are not politically appreciated, right? And so every job in which I worked, even though I love teaching, I was miserable. And in hindsight, the reason I was miserable because I was only carving out a small piece of my calling. I was only impacting the students I had, the students that navigated towards me. I was only impacting a grade level, depending on, the school I worked in and what, I was in charge of. I was only impacting just a small segment and going against this the whole time, right? And so in each job, I prayed for deliverance, did not want to be there. And again, it's not because of the kids, it's not because of the workload, because I put my all into teaching. I do a lot of extra and co-curricular activities. I do a lot. Hey, Jamal. And so I asked for deliverance. And every time I received it. Now, the thing is, spirituality, in terms of spirituality, when you ask for something, it may not come in exactly the way in which you design it, right? Because in my mind, I just want a better job, a better position somewhere else, right? And what God ended up doing was having them attack me. And I'm building up my defense. What's good? Everything's good. How are you? I hope you had a great time in Atlanta. And so while they're attacking me, and I'm getting intel and data, and I'm getting dreams of who's involved in the attack, so I know how to navigate and maneuver, right? And so I would end up using, because typically when you work a long time or you work in any type of school, typically your sick days build up. And then when you retire, you sell them back and you get this big lump sum when you retire, depending on how the school's contract is set up and what their benefits are. But that's typical for most schools. Never wanted it. Never wanted to save my days. I had 0 days when I left every institution. 0 days. 0 day. Used them up. And I'm talking about hundreds, over 100 days, right? Being paid extended time off. And the taxpayers are paying all of this. And although I have been a taxpayer in some of the districts, it's still not okay, right? Because it's all politics. And every time I left the position, there has been students and families that are devastated, right? Because you took away some of their beacon, right? Because the type of work that I do is healing work. So in terms of history, students of color and students of lower economic status have a lot on their shoulders, right? That they have to weather. And you can see this manifest in some of their behaviors and some of their academic outcomes. And so I was able to be a student in the inner city so that I can experience the entire spectrum, so that when I did become a teacher, I understood the low achievers and I understood the high achievers, and I can marry both, right? And so there's a healing quality, hey Liz, that's attached to the work that I do. So then when I left these districts, and I didn't leave during the summer, it was like abruptly in the middle of the year. And students who have had a negative way to go in education, but were fine in my class, went back to their negative ways. I remember this one school. There's this girl. She was in kindergarten when I met her. And then I had her when she was in second grade. Listen, she even had a black male teacher in first grade. That girl was in the hall twerking, okay? And when they told me about it, I didn't see it. When they told me about it, I fell out. I absolutely loved this girl from the first time that I met her in kindergarten. And teachers complained about her. Teachers always, that girl. She's in my class. That girl was a complete delight. Not one problem. Academically astute, well behaved, not one issue. And the first day that her mother brought her to school, the mother came in apologetic and was telling me about her. It wasn't the first day of school. It was like the first week of school, but it wasn't the first day. And I had to tell the mother, oh no, blah, blah, blah is absolutely fine. She's a delight. This is the first time this mother is ever hearing this. And there's a part of her that does not, hey, Tasha, there's a part of her that doesn't even believe it. So think about it. When you have your kids in schools that are not invested in them, academically, co-curricularly, behaviorally, who do not believe in them, who thinks that their behaviors are their behaviors and blame the students and blame the parents, and then they magically get a teacher that understands them and there's not one problem. This is why I have a hashtag. It's not your child's fault. It's not your fault as a parent. It is systemic. It is a systemic problem. And that's why I am doing this work. And so when I left that position and I was out on leave, being paid handsomely to recover because I was attacked by a social worker and a couple of other employees, right? And I couldn't take it. And I went to the doctor. He diagnosed me, and boom, I'm out for a long time. Hey, Tareen. And so when you take that beacon of light out, these schools aren't worried about how it impacts the kids. They see how it impacts the kids. There was one position in which I left, and they were older. They were high school and middle school kids. And when they found out that I was gone, they cried. Like literally, they cried. I got word from, friends that were still on the staff. I had parents contacting me. I had students contacting me. And here I am being attacked, pulled out of the situation, and I have to console the people in which I've been serving, right? And so, again, I've been set up spiritually to get exactly what I asked for, even though it wasn't in the form in which I thought, in the form in which I thought it was going to happen. I just thought that I was going to get a better job. Hey, Van, I ended up getting other positions in each situation, but then each situation turned out to be the same, right? And so that's how I knew I could no longer go back into your traditional school, right? My calling is to do the antithesis of what the school has been doing. And I had to experience all this stuff in order to get all this knowledge and to make great games with the same population in which they say can't do it and have them score the highest. they've ever scored, and beating out all of the other district students. My class scored extremely high. We laugh. I mean, we holler laughing. We have so much fun. We have a whole bunch of co-curricular activities. We put a lot of things into stepping stones into the curriculum to make sure that all students can succeed. And students who did not think that they can succeed, they see that they can. And this is why these kids cried when I left, right? No problem, Tareen. No problem. That's awesome. And so the simple fact is that I asked, what I wanted, and I got it. And I got it in a way in which it was on the surface negative, but it really wasn't. It was preparing me for this work that I'm doing today. And then there was one time I was working at this middle school, and I said that prayer again. I was like, Lord, get me up out of this school. And I had a dream, and I call my dreams visions because they're prophetic. And a couple of white kids were looking up at me like this, and they're like, just really enjoying the lesson and smiling, right? And so that let me know that the work that I did was important. And I think Spirit purposely used white kids just to demonstrate how healing it is for all children, even though LPEG really focuses on the inner city. There are still white Americans in the inner city, right? So I think that vision was there on purpose. It wasn't multicultural. It wasn't Black and brown kids. It wasn't Asian kids. It was little white kids to let me know how important my work is and how universal it is, right? And so this one is I might cry on this story, so forgive me. So my work at most of the schools, I'm going to say all of the schools, my reputation precedes me. So there's people that I haven't met who know about me and know me. And I may not know them. I may not even know their face. I may not know their name, or I may know their name but never had them academically, right? And so there was a tragedy. And this kid named Gary, and I typically don't name students' names, but he's no longer living, right? So I'm going to say his name. And it was a public situation. Hi, Kiasha. Hope I said your name right. Kiasia or Kiasha. And he was having an argument with a friend, right? And he had a little reputation in the Black neighborhood in this city. And he had an argument with a friend, and they got into a physical altercation, nothing serious, no weapons or anything like that. No one's hurt. And the police came and they ran. And if you notice a post on Facebook that I had, it's a question: when was the first time you had a police officer put a gun to your head? And on the original post, there are several people who comment these teenage ages and preteen, 12, 10, 14, 16, 17. And I'm looking at that and I'm like, this is bonkers, right? So people who don't have that experience would comment, well, why didn't they just explain to the police or whatever? Because they have those experiences, right? And so he ran from the police. And because the area where he was adjacent to the highway, he ran out to the highway because they released a police dog on him. And so the police dog, according to witnesses of his dead body in the morgue, there were dog bites all over his leg, all over his body, his legs in particular. And so he's running to escape because, like I said, there was nothing. Why release a police dog, right? And so he got across the highway, and I guess another patrol car was on the other side of the highway. And so he ran back and got hit by a car and was killed. And because it was not necessary, and of course the parents are challenged his death, and it was all in the newspaper and everything. And I'm going to get to the connection to education. So bear with me. They really try to screw it to the parents, right? And try to make it really uncomfortable for them. So police officers would come by their house late at night and flash their high beams. Now, police high beams, I think, are higher than your traditional car high beams, just to intimidate the family, right? And so when people feel intimidated, what do? They stop, they get fearful. They stop, what they're doing. They leave, and so they really wanted to stick it to these parents. And think about it, they just lost. Welcome back, Stephanie. They just lost a child, right? And so anytime, and you'll see it on the news, anytime there's been a death, whether it's an adult or whether it's a child, they call in specialists to help the children grieve. They offer a reprieve from classes in order to help the healing. So now I'm going to jump to another tragedy, and I'm going to come back to that. Hey, Vincent. And so there was this kid. I actually had his brother in a class, but I never had him. But I did some extracurricular activities that he was a part of. And he was a really nice kid and everything. And his brother was lovely. No problems whatsoever. And he went off to college. So he had already graduated. Oops, I had a call. So he had graduated. He went off to college and he died at college. And not only did the school, not only did the school bring in specialists and offer counseling and a reprieve from classes, they also allowed former students to come to the school and grieve. They opened up the school, right? And I have a heart. There's nothing wrong with that. That's beautiful. However, when Gary died, and because Gary was Black American, hey, Kendrea, I forgot how to pronounce your name. Kendrea, right? Kendrea. Help me out, girl. Dr. Dickens Carr. Hey, Tracy. And so when Gary died, they offered one social worker to help with the grieving. Just one. And it was the Black social worker that was not certified. And they only had a limited time from class. And then they kicked them back to class. They also sent a notification around that former students were not allowed in the building. They did not use the same decorum, policies, and rules that they used with the death of the former student, which was a white kid. And yes, they're both tragedies, and one involved a very controversial situation with the police. But how do you side? It's a death. Why would you side? And why would you do this to kids, right? So our kids are learning a lack of value for Black life, right? And spiritually, I had a dream, right? That there was wrongdoing. I told you I was going to cry on this. So in this dream, hey, Vanessa. Now, mind you, I never had Gary in class. I don't even remember him as a student because this is at this particular school, it was a very transient population, especially for us. Hola. Where we will come in and then we will leave. So you have a lot of students come in, they will register, they will go to class, and then their families would move somewhere else. Not to mention students who stopped going to school. And so all I knew were the people that knew him posthumously. And by following the story, not just in the news, but going to activists' functions where they're giving details of the autopsy, because they were working with the parents in terms of getting the public abreast of, what's going on so they can have the public support. So when I say I followed this, I followed this. Hey, Adrian. And so for him to come to me in a vision, dead. In the vision, he was dead. And asked me to help. And I'm in my professional attire. I'm in like a business suit. And I walk towards the staircase. And I'm walking with a mission to right this wrong. And so in my waking hour, I knew that was validation, that this was an untimely, unnecessary death, and that on the other side, he needed assistance with justice, but I didn't know what to do. I know more now, right? In hindsight, and as my spiritual gifts have become stronger, and I become, hey, Desmond, I've become used to them, and I understand them more, I can actually take a vision and turn it into action, right? I'm still working on it, but I know a lot more now than what I knew then. And so, again, this is just showing how connected I am spiritually, not only in terms of the supernatural, but in terms of my role as an educator, right? So now I see how important my visions are. And so Another story is in this one job, I was accused of punching a kid in the chest. Never happened. There wasn't a trip, because I'm clumsy. There wasn't a trip and an accidental, shove or anything like that. There were no hands-on situations, nothing whatsoever. And so I was asked to leave, for an investigation. So I'm like, okay, because I knew nothing happened, so I wasn't worried. But I had a vision that there was some sneakiness going on, right? So I dotted my I's and I crossed my T's, right? And so they called me in for the dismissal. And on the dismissal, they put inappropriate actions towards the student. There's cameras everywhere. I'm never alone with the student and individually. There's always other students or an adult around. So they have no corroborating. There's absolutely nothing. So then I filed suit. And this is not the first time I filed suit, right? Because like I told you, God gives me heads up. I have those visions. I dot my I's, I cross my T's, and I have my evidence. And in every single lawsuit I won, who pays for those lawsuits? Taxpayers, right? Every single last one, I win. Not only do I get my salary, hey Zena, not only do I get my salary, but I also get those damages awarded, right? So, I had this vision where what I was doing, a specific person at this particular building was going to try and fight it, right? She was going to try and fight it tooth and nail because she was the person that actually did this, that I would have to focus my spiritual defense on her. So Spirit let me know that, right? And time went on. It takes a while for these cases to go through. And so, and except for one time, two times, I always represent myself. So I'm pretty good at it. So I had this one vision after time went on, and it was my dad. And my dad has passed away. And it's not the first time that he came to me. But child, this time, he came to me in a suit, and he was standing with my mother, and he said, "They up to no good. I'm about to handle this." And he walks off in a suit. And if anybody knows my father didn't wear a suit unless it was like a funeral or a wedding, right? It has to be some official type of situation. He didn't have the type of job in which he would need to wear a suit. But he, in the spiritual form, child, he went to handle the business. It was official because it was me, right? And so I woke up and I just felt so comforted because, like all the work that I do to be accused of something that I did not do, and it's for it to be something that vicious, right? Hey, Paulie. It really took me out, right? And I had to recover emotionally from that. And for the students that lost me, I had to serve as like their counselors, right? in the midst of me needing healing too. But to know that my dad was working on the other side on my behalf is everything. And then, yeah, that turned out, yes. When objective people told me that it wasn't going to work out in my favor, second highest payout. Second highest payout out of 4 lawsuits. Second highest payout. And they told me, you know, I'll probably get like 1,000, 2,000 just to appease me. No, we went toe to toe. Way. So, I love and I appreciate those spiritual gifts, because without it, I probably could not do the work. And that's how I know, like, this is my calling. And I've had more visions, but I mean, they're not concentrated in anything huge. So I'll leave those aside. But I definitely, if you weren't here at the beginning, I actually put the link to my spiritual expose that I did in terms of what I've been going through this past year, and why LPEG is not where it should have been or where it should be, because of the stuff that I've been going through, right? And so I have to use all this energy going through cleansings and stuff. One day, me and my man were cleaning the living room, and it felt like something, but he looked at my back, and I had 3 claw marks going across my left shoulder. Freaked me out. Girl, my house had some evil spirits in it, and I would get marks too. I would get marks in my sleep. And at first I thought it was me fighting myself in my sleep. But then when I had marks on my back, I was like, if you're still here, Stephanie, I was like, no way. And so when they foreclosed, I did not fight it. I was literally just tired, just trying to take care of my mom and do everyday struggles. I just let it go. I'm trying to read Tareen's comment. Okay. No, I don't think you're slacking. That's awesome. And yes, oh my God, to Stephanie, girl. Okay, seeing if I missed any comments. Bit me not, but moved out as soon as possible. I have a pic somewhere on my page. I'll show you later. Yes, Stephanie, show me, definitely. Did you ever do any spiritual cleansing or anything like that? Because sometimes those entities can attach to you and, you know, follow you. And then you're thinking that, you know, life, you just have bad luck or whatever, but it's really a negative entity that's holding you back. Like, I had spiritual messages to, like, because I grew up Christian, right? I grew up African Methodist Episcopal. And the Christian churches, except for the Catholic Church, the Christian churches typically do not address negative entities, right? Because then you have to access the spiritual arts. And the spiritual arts is not their stronghold. Those are the traditional ancient spiritual teachings. And so they want to be opposite of that because they want to take that knowledge and that power outside of the individual and outside of the communities that they're subjugating, and they want control over that institutionally. So what do you do? I had no background, I had no training, and I didn't even know there was negative entities in my house until I had the visions of it. And I didn't know what to do, and I kept having the visions over and over and over and over. And I'm like, what do I do? And I just felt I had no energy whatsoever. It was bad. It was really bad. And I felt guilty fixing and flipping the house and selling it. And I had a vision about that and feeling guilty that this woman was buying the house because I was successfully flipping the house. And I felt really guilty about that because you can't tell people that. That girl you were talking about sounded like me in school. What girl was I talking about that sounded like you in school? Nope, just packed up and left before it got worse. Okay, hey, Sean, until you got scratched. Yeah. But think about your family. Think about your life. You should definitely get a spiritualist to do a reading if you haven't had one, to make sure that that entity isn't still with you. Good girl. Hey. And so you saw the second grader. I know you weren't twerking in the hallway because twerking was not out then. Yo, yes. I just love her. And like the kids who have a reputation, there may be an issue here or there, but typically overall, no issues. And when there is an issue, you squash it because you've already built a relationship with them. You built a relationship with the families. And so it gets squashed, right? And then you move on. Really? You weren't twerking, but you were bad. That's hilarious. It is 9/11 on 9/11. And think about, I didn't put it in that spiritual expose, but the simple fact that I'm exposing this on 9/11, I'm tearing the towers down. And I didn't put on that spiritual expose that my purpose for doing that is really exposing and disempowering the work that her and her root worker are doing, right? Because it's like when you invoke, negative things that happens outside of, what God wants for his children, you cannot call the shots. You cannot, just like I could not ask for relief from a job in which I was miserable and get it the way in which I thought I was going to get it, is going to come in the way in which it comes, right? Hey, Lucinda. So when you invoke the spiritual arts to try and hold somebody back or do something against someone's will, and it's against, what God has for his children, you don't know how it's going to lay. So not only did it impact me, but it impacted my whole family. It impacted my mother. It impacted my home. It impacted the children in which I serve, the families in which I serve. So it has more far outreaching consequences, right? And so when you do that, you have to answer to that karmically, right? And so now if I try to stay light. I'm a light worker. I try to stay within God's order. But if a worker did a revocation ritual, which will turn what they bring here back to them. I can't say it can only impact that person. It can impact their children. It can impact their parents. It can cause death, right? You can't say you have no control over that. It's the spiritual arts. And that's why I don't get involved in that, right? And I know that about me. I know I have to keep it light. I know I'm spiritually attuned, so I know I can't do that. But I'm telling you now, it has not let up yet. And so, everybody has their limit. What's my limit? I don't know, right? And so I really wanted to disempower. And so, in terms of speaking out, in terms of my spiritual connection with education and with the information that I know, I wanted to expose that here as well. So I'm tearing down those towers. And so I'm disempowering. And there's a lot of times, like when I leave, I'm private. I typically don't tell people my side. And then by the time the lawsuit's in effect, I have to sign a non-disclosure. And therefore, I can't tell people the specifics after, right? And so this is my way of disempowering those memories and making it public without naming anyone, without violating the non-disclosure, right? But your kids, our kids, are being trained on the day-to-day basis about the status quo. And the status quo is that education is an elitist system. And only some people are allowed at the top, and the rest are not. And it doesn't matter what that child brings to the table. That child will be trained to be less than what he or she actually is. And that includes children, hey Michael, who are in AP, academic, and college prep classes. Because when you think about it, they're still being educated as subjects. You have to supplement the education at home. And as an educator, I can tell you that after they go through these schools, it's very difficult to try and educate children with the antithesis of what the schools are teaching, because they're going to look at you like you're crazy. Oh, my dad he's revolutionary. I'll pay him no mind. Oh, my mom be talking this or that. Yeah, no. Right? And then there's some kids who believe in it, and then they're conversing with other children who are not abreast with that, and they just want to be accepted. And so then, they become chastised for what they know and what they understand. And some will stay strong within their knowledge, right? Because it's a part of them. And others will push it to the side so that they can be a part of the mainstream, right? So it's really important that parents choose their children's education wisely. And like I said, in about 2-3 weeks, LPEG, your girl, has a very special announcement and hopefully a launch. And we're doing the research now and compiling everything. And so this will help students and families avoid this pitfall, right? Because me as an adult, right, I have already been through my education. Me as an adult going against us, like directly against a system like this, pushing back against it and it pushing back against me, and me falling ill more than once from it. What is it doing to our kids? Right? So if your kid is pushing back, that system, some way, somehow, is going to do damage to your child. Hey, Stacy. Thank you. Welcome. It's going to do damage, right? And for the ones that don't push back, they're still going along with something that's not designed for them. Very unhealthy. Extremely unhealthy, right? So I'm hoping that parents will understand this. So we're pulling those pieces together, so look out for it. All right, so we got kicked off of Facebook. Okay, so it's just Periscope and it's just YouTube. So I will send the YouTube video, and it's 111 right now, 33. Hey, child. Okay, Spirit's talking. So I will send the YouTube video on Facebook so they can see the ending, and I'll give them the time 11133. That's a synchronicity. That's a spiritual message. And so I want you all to look out for that, that message. And for people who like, comment on topic, and share the video, you're going to get a free entry into the raffle for a $100 Visa gift card. So that's going to be exciting. We're going to have the raffle online. Don't know when the raffle is going to be yet. We need more people to have access. So make sure you like, share, and like the business page. Subscribe to the YouTube page, and definitely comment. All right, so that's it. I'm Randa. This is Little Frog Education Group, and this is Woke Wednesdays. Thank you so much for hearing me out and participating. Take care. I'm off of Periscope. I'm already off of Facebook. And now I'm off of YouTube.